You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, now, Don and Ivan are in the house. I tell you who's given us the flick, Phoebe. Haven't heard from her for a long time, Don. Have you been in contact with her at all? That's you, Don.
How should I answer this?
Yes or no? Like the referendum.
It could be incriminating whichever way I go.
We're off to a good start here. Don's had
No, I'm just
the
suffering.
simplest of question he's found hard to answer. That is quite correct, Ivan. It would be yes or no. Now, we're going to put a call into someone, Don, and Ivan. We're going to put a call into someone, what?
He's distracted.
Yeah, I'm only speaking to you. We're going to put a call into someone who I was indirectly referred to by the great Gary Ablett Sr., who said you should speak to this man about a matter. And I rang the great Gary Ablett Sr. back, who arguably could be the greatest player that's ever played the game in some people's eyes. And so when the great Gary Ablett rings you, you ring him back. And so I've had a discussion with Gary, and he said, this man has got something interesting to say. So we're going to ring this man just shortly and see how interesting it is.
Are you converted?
What's
Are
that?
you converted after the conversation with Gary Ablett Sr.?
Well, I don't know that I have to be converted. I'm a bully.
No, you don't have to be, but are you? Or was there an attempt to convert you?
You talking about the referendum?
No, he's talking about becoming...
Christianity.
Yes, talking about the Saviour being part of your life, Ivan. That's what Gary is...
the bigger picture. The bigger picture.
The bigger picture. You see what you just did then, Don, when you pulled the microphone over to you? You know when we filmed the show last week, the whole filming of the show was highlighted by you fiddling around with the knob on the microphone, fiddling around with the arm. Yeah, I don't mind if you fiddle around with that, but don't fiddle around with the equipment. Like you're doing now. Take your hand off it. How many times have we told you that for a whole lot of different reasons? Now, so we're going to put a call in directly to this man. Let's just cover the most recent. You went to the grand final, Don. Here's a man who says, oh, no, I don't like to go out. You're up here in the, living up here in the city. I'm down there. So you went hobnobbed at the grand final, did you? How was it?
I thought it was fantastic. The anticlimax was the game initially. The build-up was terrific. I have got to pay an acknowledged kiss. I came out of the rider room and the heat that was generated by those gas burners or gas flames just about knocked you over. It was so intense, the heat, just generated by those big things around the oval. And how those guys put up with that heat, with those suits on, in the, must have been about 30-odd degrees, the outside temperature as well as the heat is beyond me. Their performance was fantastic. Australians are not known for joining in singing. You see it in Europe and wherever else in the games over there. They're starting to do it in Adelaide when Port Adelaide run out and they sing the In Excess song.
It's a wonder that disgraced and discredited
But they were
Premier
singing along to Kiss,
Yep.
their last song, and it was fantastic.
It's a wonder the disgraced and discredited ex-Premier allowed the gas flames to go off, seeing as he's banned cooking utensils that are powered by gas in the name of saving the planet. The more this goes on about the planet, it is such
Hang
a
on, let's just
lie
get back
and
to
a
the
hoax.
get back to the
Yep,
game.
I'm
The
getting
way
back to
they
it.
filled up the MCG, that's a great criticism of mine because it's a vast arena, but they filled it up with a stage which was huge, to ring it with those gas burners, then to have those, the choir, dancers or whatever else come out onto the ground, the army. It was a terrific spectacle, probably the best I have seen.
Good. So you were there, I wasn't there, and I watched some of it. I watched the first part of it, and here's Channel 7. Now, I know Channel 9 do it as well, so I'm not... Channel 7, Foxtel are not allowed to televise the grand final, so you have to watch free-to-air. Every time in the last quarter of an hour, because that's the only time I watched it, in the last quarter of an hour when was goal for goal, As soon as a goal was kicked, they went to an ad. How to truncate a great television spectacle by ruining it by putting fucking ads in every single time a goal was kicked. You didn't see the aftermath of emotion. They'd go back and the ball was bounced. Half the time they'd miss the bounce because of running ads. Would you think that just for the grand final they could do a joint?
This
they
is
could
their
do a
money
telecast,
spinner, John.
Don, would you think for the grand final someone could pay them a premium so that they didn't put the ads in as soon as a goal was kicked?
Listen, it's the same in American football, the NFL, the final, whatever it's called, the Super Bowl. Those ads are at a premium. I was working at Channel 7 and Gordon Bennett was in charge of sport or production, whatever it was then, and he bought in. He said, we're going to have a 30-minute ad break. I said, no, Gordon, you can't. You're ruining. He said, you watch. And
30
lo and
minutes.
behold, it's a 30-second ad break. And that was back in the early 80s. He said, this is what they're doing in basketball and we're going to do it in football. Now it has gone, and that's where the integrity, I said it the other week, the integrity of our game has diminished and gone.
It's impossible to watch the game.
You cannot
and get
compare
into the
it to
spirit of
games in the past. The players don't play as long on the ground. The interchange.
So
the other thing I'll mention.
So did you watch Kiss? Did you watch the man smash the guitar?
Yeah, I saw him do that.
Yeah,
You saw it live.
Yeah, you saw it. They didn't show that on the television.
Yep,
They didn't show him smashing the guitar. Could you fuck up a telecast any better than truncating all the good goals by putting ads on immediately though kicked and missing the smashing of the guitar? That's their hallmark. That is their signature out.
Yep.
No, they missed that.
The money shot.
They are seriously.
The other thing with regard to presentation,
amateurish.
Presentation is the running out of the teams onto the ground. Now, in years gone by, the races at where the players ran down were on a slight incline so that you could run down, you could pick up speed and hit the ground really running.
Running through the streamers.
Or whatever, but that was just a real adrenaline rush. Now they walk up
an incline.
A ramp. They all wait and then go through the banner. Then they go through this stupid bloody warm-up, each end of the ground, witches' cones. They could do all that in the rooms prior to. It is ridiculous the way these teams... It's lost its adrenaline rush, which used to be there.
We've been speaking about that for years, Don. I'm not knocking.
They could build a bit of an incline in those races where the players come out, a ramp, just a bit of an incline, cladded in rubber so they don't slip, and they could run down and run. The rugby league do it, and we should learn from the way they do it. They don't bullshit around up there. They run onto the ground. They do a little bit of a whatever national anthem or whatever else, and then they're into the game. Will you turn your phone off, please?
Well, that was Dermot Brereton because...
No, well, don't
hang on, I'm telling you why he rang. That was Dermot Brereton because Ben Fordham, Dr. Ben, asked, could we give him Dermot's number? And so Dermot was just ringing to say that he'd spoken to him on radio up in Sydney. That's why he was ringing. But I didn't answer it because we don't want to interrupt you and your thoughts about... you wouldn't have watched the Ryder Cup, would you? Europe beat...
Who's interested in bloody golf?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people are... the disgraceful
The privileged few.
Yeah, there was... It was a huge success. The disgraceful display of the Europeans when it was apparent they were going to win. Rich, self-important people shouting, and the lack of sportsmanship in that after it was over is a disgrace. They should be, that carried on like spoiled children. It was cringeworthy. So that's the Ryder Cup. So...
That's the one where they're waving their hats around?
Waving the hats, that's all right. But after it, when it was apparent they were going to win, they carried on like the most unsportsmanlike dills.
Do you think golf's turning into, the crowds are turning into like football crowds? Because it used to be quiet, now it's a bit rowdy.
A bit rowdy. So Don and Ivan, I went to vote. Went to vote for the vote no for the. How much money is the corrupt and dishonest government spending of our tax money pushing the yes vote? And now I see that they've asked the yes voters who are promoting it to take off their colours because they're too close to the colours of the electoral office, and it looks like the electoral office advising people to vote yes. They are so dishonest. And who is spending our money? And they put the ads on the television. They say, and they show write YES on the thing. Well, we are saying write NO on it. Absolutely.
Now you're saying,
yeah,
don't include me.
I am saying it. Write no on it. It is a sham. It is a disgrace.
It's an individual decision.
Yeah, it is. That's right. I'm individually.
Well, don't you say we?
I'm encouraging. People who listen to this podcast to vote no.
Just let them make up their own minds.
Well, I'm encouraging people.
No, you shouldn't be.
I am.
Well, you're allowed
it's
to.
It's a disgrace.
No.
Well, Qantas can deface our planes.
Yeah, and it's a disgrace.
Who decided that?
It's a moral
decision. Who decided they could do that?
It's a moral decision.
And the AFL hitched their wagon to the government because
they got a stadium down in Tassie.
That's right. They blackmailed them. They said,
but they pushed back from the clubs. The AFL tried to influence the clubs, and the clubs pushed back on it, which was a very good
now
thing.
That we've got Mr. Dillon in charge.
Oh, Mr. Dillon, he'll be same of the same old, same old.
Surely they'll pull back on the welcome to country. Surely that has grown an extra leg.
I was talking to a friend who is manning. He manned a booth in West Melbourne, then was shifted out to Abbotsford yesterday, and this is going to, whichever way this referendum goes, it's going to create racism in Australia. It is going to divide Australia. He was handing out no cards. He was abused. The lack of tolerance, he said, that was shown by the people who are obviously yes, was a disgrace.
Well,
and also, it's not only verbal, it was also the looks and the body language he received by handing out the no votes.
What about the piece of shit called Denise Ferris, the university lecturer from the Australian...
You mentioned this last week about
I'm just
spitting.
Saying, that's right, what about her?
Okay, you mentioned it all last week.
Well, you're saying the lack of decorum with the yes voters. I'm just mentioning that piece of shit again.
Oh, please.
That's all.
Your language leaves a lot to be desired.
You don't think she's a piece of
No,
shit?
no, your language is just... All you have to say is it was a disgraceful act.
Do you think she's a piece of shit?
No.
What, for spitting in the face of
someone? She might
someone?
be a nice lady, and she let her guard down, and it wasn't a nice
That's an
act.
Oxymoron, Don. You can't
What's an
spit in
oxymoron?
Someone's face and be a nice person.
Well, I am.
Don't be stupid. That is just ridiculous.
Haven't you let one go before?
Has it spat at someone?
Yeah.
Have I ever spat at someone?
Yeah.
I haven't. I know you have.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's right. But, you know,
on the football
say no
field.
more. What?
Yeah.
On the football field.
Yeah, on the football field. Don said anything goes on the football field.
anything
Kicking
goes,
in the nuts, kicking in.
Anything.
kicking.
King hit from behind, you're a master of that. You got a PhD
Jump
in
into their ribs.
whacking from
Yeah,
behind
well, only-
when your hands were down and no one was looking.
No, I never did that.
Oh,
Only.
you're a master, sneaky Johnny.
Yeah, that's right.
The speeches after the AFL, when they were
Yeah.
getting their medals, what did you think of that? Darcy Moore, pretty good speaking.
Darcy's made
Very good.
He's made a industry out of being correct and proper, and he
Has
did
he?
it well.
And I don't know
No,
why
he's one of the best ones I've
why
heard.
the vanquished have got to sit out there, and why the captain has got to get up and say, it's the worst feeling to come second in a grand final.
You just get off the ground as soon as you
As soon as you, is very, very disappointing. The other thing that I noticed about could we have a talk about this?
Well, go
The
on.
ruck play on Saturday. Have you ever seen two ruckmen so shit frightened in all your life playing football? They would not face up. It's a grand final. I saw Mason Cox actually jump twice, once at the centre bounce and down in the forward line in the first half of the game. What was his counterpart's name?
Don.
The tall bloke from Brisbane. He doesn't like to face up. And then they put Danaher in the ruck. Oh, boy. He just has got no idea of centre bounce work at all. It's a disgrace the way this ruck play has gone.
If you could just save that till we're going to put this call in now to this man. Just only because I told him I'd call him at a particular time, and we'll come back to the ruck play. So,
who are we speaking to?
We're going to speak to a man who says that the writ for the voice is the writ that you have to tell the electorate. He says it's illegal, and the referendum shouldn't even be going ahead because the writ is illegal. It's been signed by the wrong people, and Gary Ablett Senior rang me and said, "Mate, I know Gary quite well." He said, "Why don't you speak to this man? You might find him interesting." I'm not really sure what he's on about, but he says that this is absolutely against the law, what's going on. And I said, "Would you come on and speak to us about it?" He said he would. So I'm not sure who he is or what his credentials are, but we're going to put a call into him now, Don and Ivan, and you know as much about him as I do. So let me just see. Let me see if I can do this now. Just a minute. Here we go. Just a minute now. Hang on.
This is the best bit about it.
That's the wrong phone. Here we go. Right now. Just stand by, Don. Stand.
We should be filming.
No, mate,
this,
don't do
honestly.
that, please. Don't do that. Look at that. Don't hit the table, mate.
Get organised, will you?
Yeah, well, don't hit the table.
I'm a busy man.
These poor listeners.
I've got nothing in my headphones.
Good morning, Sam.
G'day, Jared. How are you?
Yes.
Just a minute. Don hasn't got anything in his headphones. Just make sure. This is because he fiddles around with all the equipment, Jared. So just hang on a minute so he can hear you.
Very good.
All right. Now, Don and Ivan, we are speaking to
Jared.
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 Jared Donahue. And Jared was introduced indirectly to me by Gary Ablett Senior. And he has a very interesting thing to say about the referendum that's coming up for the voice. So first of all, Jared, just tell us who you are and where you are and what is very quickly your story.
All right, Don, Sam, thanks for having us on, and thanks to the great man Gary. I met Gary. We're both believers in God. We've got faith in God. I'm from Currumbara in South Gippsland. I have a big family. You'd know this, Sam. I was 14 years ago. I lost the love of my life. After that happened, I nearly died of alcohol poisoning. For a while, and about 5 months after that, I said, well, I've had enough of this. Something's wrong. So I started looking. I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know where to start. So I just started a bit of study, and I looked at the process, the Governor-General down and the governors and how it all works.
So just before you go on, Jared, I've spoken to you a couple of times. I haven't quite understood what you're on about, but you are saying in a word or in a sentence that the writ for the voice referendum is illegal and shouldn't be going ahead because why?
Well,
is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that the writ that was issued by someone called Don Farrell from South Australia. When the Referendum Machinery Act is very clear that it must be issued by the Governor-General, which now is David Hurley.
Yes. So David Hurley hasn't signed the writ, in your opinion, for the referendum to be a legal document for us to vote on.
That's what I'm saying.
And how do you back that up?
There's a document under the Referendum Machinery Act 1984. It's Schedule Form 1, and it says to the Electoral Commissioner, and it goes through the process of what has to happen, what the document has to look like, and it's got on the bottom of it, insert here Governor-General's title and the date.
Yes.
It's got Governor-General by His Excellency's command. and there's no room for anyone else. So I'm saying, who is Don Farrell? I'm saying Don Farrell, if he's not the Governor-General, he can't issue the writ.
And you're saying that in effect, just that alone makes it an illegal document for us to vote on. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying, I'm speaking to myself here, Sam. I'm saying that disqualifies me. In the absence of a valid writ, I'm disqualified for participating in a fraud.
So you're saying it's a fraudulent document. Have you had this legal, or is this only your opinion? Because you say the writ must be issued in the name of the monarch. That's His Majesty the King Charles III, or
through the representative. That's
Sir
correct.
David. That's David Hurley.
Sir David Hurley in 1999.
Yes. And if another name appears under the Governor-General's name, that automatically makes it null and void, does it? Is that what you're saying?
That invalidates it right there, null and void. In 1999, we went to referendum. The people are the government saying we're going to retain the constitutional monarchical system of government.
So you're obviously saying that the vote shouldn't go ahead. Is this just being pedantic, Gerard, or is this just a absolute legal argument that people have overlooked, and you have drawn it to the attention of those people who are naysayers?
Well, I say that anyone voting yes in this is voting in a fraud, and I'm not prepared to do that. Yes or no? You can see it there. I'm disqualified because of my belief that I don't take part in a fraudulent operation.
Is this your Christian belief?
Well, it's a
moral belief.
A moral belief, and I'm saying take it to any legal firm that you like, and.
So you'll be contesting this when you are issued a writ, or please explain why you didn't vote?
Yes.
And so you'll take this as far as you can?
Yeah, well, in the last election, the state election, I asked for the writ for the election that saw Daniel Andrews get in. I actually got into the Supreme Court at 5:45 the night before the election, before Justice Ganane. Justice Ganane, he said, well, why don't you wait till the writ is returned, then you'll see the writ. And I said to him, well, you can't have a return writ if there's no writ. Where's the writ? This is in the last election on November last year, the state election, and on the 2nd of December, I ended up in the Supreme Court in front of Justice Timothy Ganane, and my case was dismissed without showing me the writ.
So, Gerard, you're trying to, I presume, because the voice vote comes up, I think, next week, the 14th, yes. Does it? You're trying to have this. You're trying to have this cancelled now before the vote officially is augmented, if you like, is officially out on the 14th. You're trying to have this declared null and void now, are you?
Well, Sam, what I'm trying to do is
make
the people aware.
Yep.
Have a look at the writ. Ask for the writ. This is a platform for any challenge going forward. But I won't be voting in it. They have disqualified me. I haven't been barred from it. I haven't been anything. I've been disqualified because they cannot produce a valid writ. I've asked for it. I've got it.
So are you saying, Gerard, that if the voice gets up and the yes vote is returned, that you will challenge it on the basis that it should never have been a referendum in the first place because it was illegally framed?
I will be doing that, and I hope with many, many thousands of others. I hope I'm only one small part of the group.
And if it's a no vote, you won't challenge it, Gerard?
No, it'll be challenged in any way.
But Gerard,
it's a fraud.
This is what you're talking about is just the mechanics of it. Can't they just tidy that up after the fact?
Well, if it's a fraud, it doesn't change after the fact, John.
So
If it's a fraud, it's a fraud.
So Jared, you and Gary Ablett Senior, you have. How did you two become involved in this? How did Gary come to ring me? Because you've been discussing this with him on a legal or a constitutional basis or a Christian belief. Why did Gary ring me?
Well, we were seeking the truth, and I said, I got one for you, Gary. But it really came out of, Sam, I saw you getting berated by Daniel Andrews on the...
Yes.
And I thought, well, Sam would like to know that I went to court on his the writ that got him elected.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing was dismissed because they couldn't produce a valid writ. And it's beautiful because I was aware of it when this thing came up straight away. I went straight to the writ, and I'm thinking, who the hell's Don Farrell?
Yep, Who is Don Farrell? He's the.
I don't know who Don Farrell is.
Who is Don Farrell? He's the Don Farrell is the who is he?
South Australia.
South Australian governor, is he? General.
No, he's
governor.
Look, there's a story in there in itself, but Don Farrell, when we looked him up, he's a senator in Canberra, coming out of South Australia. But when we look up the election of him to the Senate,
yes.
And this is back in 22, the so-called or the purported governor of South Australia is Francis Adamson, and I'll tell you what give me a sec here. I'll open this up and I'll read it to you.
Well, he's currently the special minister of state in the Albanese government. So whatever that means.
That's correct. That's
Well
correct.
done, Ivan. Yep. Go on, Jared.
It says for the issuing of the writ for the senators, it's Section 12 of our Constitution. It says the governor of any state may cause writs to be issued for the election of senators for the state. So that's all right. That's in the Constitution. So we looked that up. Then we go to who the hell's Don Farrell? So we looked Don Farrell up. But so when he was elected, 22, who issued the writ for that? It's supposed to be, as that said, the senator of the governor of the state that issued the writ to the senators. And we can't find where Francis Adamson, the governor of South Australia, issued the writ.
Oh, I see. And you say that Don Farrell has treasonously usurped the monarch by inserting his name into the writ.
Well, I can't think of any other words. It's in a breach of the security of the Commonwealth under the Criminal Code Act 1995 at Section 80.1.
So what do you? So people who listen to this, Jared, will think,
Yep.
heavens above, what's going on here? What is this? Are you trying to? It's, people will say, well, holy mackerel, this sounds like a bit of a conspiracy. But you say you have
he's a nutter.
You what?
He's a nutter.
Yeah, they
this
might say that. They might say that. I'm not saying that. They might say that. But
Yep.
you're saying you have absolutely the law that is written down in plain English. You have the law on your side, and this is a fraudulent referendum because it hasn't been portrayed legally.
Well, if that writ is fraudulent, it's fraudulent all the way through, Sam. It starts at fraud, it ends in fraud. Fraud vitiates everything. That's a tenet of law. That is a maxim of law.
Now,
Fraud vitiates everything.
All right. Well, now, and what other discussions do you have with the great Gary Ablett Senior about life on the planet? How is he going? Is he going well? And what else do you chat about how the country's going?
Well, he's a very decent man. I find.
He is?
He's had his, well, he's, up there with the greats. He knows what the highs are like, and he knows what the lows are like. And
yes, like us all.
Yeah, we just talk about life in general. Like him, I've got a family. I've got a big family. Like I said, my wife passed away 14 years ago, and she said on her deathbed that you've got a job to do, now go and do it. So I didn't really understand what that meant, but
How did you meet Gary? How did you come into contact with him?
Through a mutual friend, like I've just met you, Sam. Just a mutual friend of that had concerns about the way the truth was going in this country, and it's and we just cranked up a sort of a friendship from there. I've known him about 10 years, I think, and we just pick up the phone and talk like old mates, and it's good.
Well, Jared Donahue, this is food for thought. I'm not sure what to make of it, but you seem to be pretty confident that what you're saying is legally correct. I'm not sure when we extend it into the real world how this will go, but I'm sure people will find this interesting. Don?
Have you drawn this to the attention of other people, Jared?
Well, look, it's only a couple of weeks old because the writ's only been issued, Don, and now, but I went straight because of my experience with in December last year with the state election. I went straight to the writ. I'm looking for the writ, and this is what it's come up with. That Don Farrell has issued it, and then straight away I started talking to different people. One of them being Gary. So it's only a week old.
So are you going to take this to? Are you going to challenge this in the Supreme Court?
Well, I don't know where it's going to go exactly. It's the Court of Disputed Returns is where it will go.
Is that before or after the election?
After the election.
Well, what's the point of going to it after the election when the thing has been done?
Well, you dispute the return, Don.
You dispute the result, you mean?
Yes. Well, yes, that's right.
Even if it's yes or no, it doesn't matter. You're just disputing the fact that it was fraudulent in the first place.
That's it. It's not a. For me, it's not a yes or no. It's a fraud.
Okay. Well, Jared Donahue, thank you very much for joining us on You Cannot Be Serious. And
I am.
You what?
I am serious.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, that's the name of it. Yes, thank you.
I know.
No, well done. You got me
I'm
there.
a smart ass.
Well,
No, you're very quick. He is thick as a brick, Jared, so don't worry.
I thought you were saying you cannot be serious, but we are You Cannot Be Serious. Well, thank you very much, and we will see where this heads, and we'll see what reaction we get to this.
Good on you.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you, Jared.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank
God
you.
bless you.
All right.
See ya.
Now, Jared's off, isn't he? Is he off? Yeah. So, Don, I don't know. Ivan, I don't know what you make of that, but...
Well, I think it requires a little bit of investigative work. It's fascinating that he said that the Andrews thing, is there a bit of complacency? Surely there wouldn't be complacency in the election process.
I don't think it's called complacency, dishonesty.
No, hang on.
Yeah,
That's
dishonesty.
Bit of laziness.
Well, absolutely.
Well, we've had so many changes with politicians that probably no one knows what they're...
Dishonesty and corruption, Don, seem to be the hallmark
This
of
is
the
right up
Andrews government.
You're right up your ralley.
Well,
you're drawing a Donald Trump here, aren't you?
Don't start me on Donald Trump.
I can see what's happening.
Don't you have a...
Anyway, it's worthy of investigation.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just you can finish off on the ruck work, Don. I interrupted you. You said that they were scared. Maybe they had nerves, Don. Can I give you... just let me tell you this. This is about nerves, Don.
Hang on.
You listening?
Just...
This bloke, I'll tell you this is how nerves get you, Ivan.
Righto.
This bloke, all he had to do, he was applied for a job, and all he had to do is, Don,
Hang on, there's
please.
there's something going on in this world we can't explain. I've just received a text from Ben Fordham. What a wanker. Don Farrell's arrogant act, the grand final. Now, we were just talking about Don Farrell, weren't we?
We were. That's why you asked me why did Dermot Brereton ring me, and Ben Fordham wanted Dermot Brereton's number to ring him about something that happened on the grand final. So I don't know what that's about, but
we're just talking about Don Farrell.
So he was. I think Dermot had a interaction with Don Farrell at the grand final, and Ben Fordham wanted to know what it was about. So, if I could just say, if you step on this again.
Hey, why is Don Farrell come up?
So this is about nerves, Ivan.
Right.
And this is the ruckman. Don said they're shit scared. So this bloke, this is about nerves. All he had to do is he's applied for this job, and he got this job, and all he had to do is drive this bus down to the railway station and say, free bus to the Hotel Astor. That's all he had to do. It was his first day on the job, and he drove the bus down to the station, and the train pulled in, and he got out of the driver's seat of the bus, and he went down to the stairs, and he was a bit nervous, and he shouted out, free ass to the Hotel Buster.
Is that your phone?
Holy mackerel. Jesus
We're working
Christ.
well here.
So all he had to do, this is how to fuck up a joke. All he had to do was say, Don, get out of the bus and say, free bus to the Hotel Astor. So he got a bit nervous. This is like the ruckman, a bit nervous. And he got out of the bus and he said, the train pulled in, he got out and he said, free ass to the Hotel Buster. I mean, bust your ass at the Hotel Freezer. I mean, freeze your ass at the Hotel Buster. Kiss me ass, you bastards, and get a taxi. I quit. So that's nerves. And then this is another example of nerves.
Is there a punchline?
Yeah, I'll punch you there. So have a listen to this. Now, someone told me this happened. The kids were in a school play, and it got a bit, and the kids were a bit nervous. And the first kid, all he had to do is say, "Oh, fair maiden, I have come to snatch a kiss and fill your soul."
Okay, thank you very much. That'll do. Can we hit the button? End of story.
"Oh, fair maiden, I have come to snatch a kiss and fill your soul with hope." So he gets, and the other boy had to say, "Hark, I hear a pistol shot." So the play comes, and the play comes, and the first boy is a bit nervous, and he says, "Oh, fair maiden, I have come to kiss your snatch and fill your hole with soap." And this made the second boy even more nervous, and he said, "Fuck, I hear a shistle pot, a piss pot, a bullshit. Fuck, I didn't want to be in the play anyhow." Now, that's how nerves can get you, Don. And this might be why Mason Cox, and who is the other boy that didn't jump up? You said they were shit scared.
Oscar McInerney.
I tell you, they're not shit scared,
Oh,
Don.
mate.
No, hang on.
Please.
No, they're just not aware of the technique required.
Well, why doesn't somebody teach them? It's an art form.
Thank you, Don. This is why I was in great demand when I stopped playing
Dad,
football as a ruck coach.
You only taught one way.
That is the successful way, Don. That is the successful way.
Your way.
The aggressive
That's
way.
right. My way.
Oh,
My way is the
Jeez.
most successful way to prevail in the ruck.
Is that because the opposition was incapacitated?
Not incapacitated, because the opposition played people on their strengths, not on their weaknesses. Always play someone on their weaknesses. That is, disconcert them by the way you play, and that's a technique.
Running in, not opposite, coming in on the side so you don't get hurt.
No, so you don't. So
Jumping
Don,
a fraction
no,
early.
Don, you've never understood this.
You're
It's
more
not-
inclined to go for the man than the
No,
ball.
Yes, Don.
That's your technique.
No, Don. The art of ruck work is getting between your opponent and the ball.
Your eye should be on the ball. You are more concerned about your opponent.
No, Don.
That was your problem.
No, Don, the idea of ruck work is to get between you, your opponent, and the ball, so that they have to run through you to get to the ball. You don't understand that.
Oh.
Running straight at someone, that completely negates that particular tactic. And that's why Simon Madden was the best ever at it, because he got between his opponent and the ball, and therefore he could get the hit out with the spare arm that wasn't fending off his opponent.
Very good St. Bernard's boy there.
Yeah, well, yes. So, Don, so you had a good day. Did you? Who did you sit with at the grand final?
My son, and then Wayne Schimmelbusch. And it was a very deep intellectual conversation with Wayne.
And your son.
No, I said Wayne Schimmelbusch.
All right. Well, Don, we'll come back with some other stuff. We have discussed
Do you think we deteriorate? I looked around that room and I saw a lot of ex-athletes. And I just wondered, have we deteriorated since we played football?
Who are you talking about, you and I?
Yes. Were we looking at ourselves, or was I looking at myself when I looked at the others? Because they certainly have deteriorated.
Yeah, no, they've let themselves go and they look shocking, Don. Most of the people
do you think we have as well? Or was I looking at myself?
Well, I would say you and I, Don, would be in the top 5% of people our age who have played our game that are in the condition we are. In fact, I'd say we're in the top 1%. Now, that is a fact. If you have a look at the people, your peers that you played with and against, and have a look at them today, they are shadows of their former selves for a lot of different reasons. Maybe depression, maybe their injuries have got hold of them, maybe they haven't been able to, maybe they overeat, maybe they overdrink, maybe they don't look after themselves, don't have lost their self-esteem and pride in themselves, but that is a fact. You and I, and this is not being egotistical, this is just a statistical fact, we'd be in the top 1% of people our age who have played our game for the condition we're in.
But you've had a bit of help along the way.
Yes, of course. I've had a lot of help along the way and a whole lot of different reasons. For a whole lot of different reasons, Don. I don't know what that is meant to say, but I was in an industry where it was pretty helpful if you were 25 years older than the rest of the people on the show that you're on to actually look vaguely that you came from the same generation. But that's a career choice. You, of course, have no interest in looking good because you shave your hair, shave your head bald, you go out and put gloves on and massacre people's backyards in the name of landscaping, and get in your car and drive home and live down there in a little hovel down there with your horses who you go around and touch up. So we just live completely different lives because we have completely different goals to fill. But you've been successful in your way, Don, and I haven't been successful.
Yes, you have.
I haven't been successful. I've survived.
Oh!
Yeah, survived. So we wouldn't ever say either of us are successful, would we?
No.
Because that would be egotistical.
Actually, that's what my father said. I don't have to worry about
Don't
Don.
touch the equipment.
Will you shut up, you freak?
Why are you touching those headphones? You've got one set on your head and you've got one set in your hands.
Because you bugger. If we had Rod Law, this wouldn't have happened.
Take. That's right. You can take them off.
You can take yours off.
Yeah.
Oh,
Did you?
there we go.
So, did you see that?
Yeah.
He threw the headphones off the table. They've landed on the floor. I've spent the whole of my
adult life,
the whole of my income since I stopped working, setting the studio up. He comes in, tries to dismantle it and destroy it on a weekly basis. There's another classic example. You have no respect. You're a selfish, arrogant pig.
Fuck, you're looking at yourself.
It's just extraordinary. Yeah.
Now listen, on the way up...
Shout outs. We're going to come back, Dodd. We're coming back.
Thank you, John. I was just going to talk about an affliction I had on the way up here today.
Affliction?
It's called
petrol prices?